everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Gate, our Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Meg.
And today we are talking about episode 11, Miracle at Rush Valley.
Yes. So, jump right into the summary of the episode. The Elrics, realizing alchemy has yet to unlock the mysteries of creating life, feel powerless when a new friend goes into labor. Winry, however, jumps into action with a young thief named Panina.
And this covers 3 chapters of the manga. Chapter 17, The Boomtown of the Broken Down. Chapter 18, The Value of Sincerity. And Chapter 19, I'll Do It For You Guys.
I loved the title of chapter 17. It's so fun.
The Boomtown of the Broken Down refers to Rush Valley, and it's also referred to as the Mecca for automail. So I just love how, I don't know, like automail is such a big part of the world building, especially since there was a war, so a lot of people need prosthetics, and it's just so cool that people rally around that.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, we can just jump right in to the episode. So we start out, the Elrics and Winry have arrived at Rush Valley, and Winry is going crazy for
automail. Her voice gets like an octave higher each time she says it.
Yes.
In the manga, her reaction to automail is what's the word, juxtaposed? It's like compared to this other woman who has the same reaction but to fancy jewelry. So Renry's not your average girl, but her reactions are very girly.
Yeah. And Ed and Al are not impressed. They're like, this is boring, and like they could care less about it. So Winry's going crazy. Ed and Al are like, get us out of here. And then people start to notice Ed's automail, and everyone is admiring it. Apparently, at least they mentioned in the manga that it's different from what they're used to seeing in the town. So they're they rip off his clothes to get a closer look at it.
So he's down to his boxer shorts, and everyone's just like touching him, fawning over his automail. And poor Ed is stuck in this massive crowd just going, stop, please. But I like Rush Valley. There's a little more time spent on it. Well, a lot more time actually in the manga. But also in the 2003 version, there's this extra scene, which the manga kind of has. They differ a little bit in the content, but the gist of it is that everybody notices Ed's automail only after he wins this machine arm wrestling competition, which is pretty fun. And in the manga, at least, Ed cheats to win. Somebody goads him, calls him small, and he joins the competition. And when nobody is looking, well, except Al notices, but Ed claps his hands together under the table, and like when he puts his metal arm into the other person's automail arm, he changes the opponent's arm to like a weaker substance, and he just like rips the arm straight off and wins the competition.
Yes. I like to think that although it was like he was upset that he got called small, they were also like kind of cheating people out of, like, they were destroying their automails, and they would have to come to get it fixed.
So Ed did cheat to win, but I don't think he actually got any prize money from it.
No.
And he stopped this dude from wrecking everybody's automails. So in the end, he stopped a corrupt practice from continuing, I suppose. They take more issue with it in 2003. Yes. Winry gets pretty mad at him, I remember that.
Anyway, after everybody fawns over his automail, he starts putting his clothes back on, and he realizes that his watch is missing, which that's how he proves that he's a state alchemist. And so he's like, I have to find it. And then some townspeople tell him that it was probably this girl named Panina, who is the well-known pickpocket of the town. and they can find her at Dominic the engineer's place, which is outside of town. So they start walking to the Dominic's place, and it is very hot. They're like out in like it's like the desert kind of.
Yeah, the terrain kind of reminded me of the Grand Canyon a little bit.
Yeah. And Winry and Ed start to bicker, and it's very cute because Al is like, "Come on, guys, stop fighting," and they both like lash out at him.
Shut up, Al.
It makes sense why they're bickering when you get hot, and you start to do that. And Al, like, he's fine because he's just
obviously he's okay in any temperature.
Yeah. But then while they're walking, they spot Penina, and Ed like goes completely crazy. I found a picture of it. I'll post it on Instagram, but his eyes are like red, and it's kind of scary, but also it's supposed to be. But
it's Ed. Funny. He can't be that scary.
Yeah, and so I don't know. To me, this is like the first time that we really get to see him like go nuts with his alchemy, because he's like all the way across kind of like a canyon from Penina, and he like builds up like steps to get to her, and
you just see it go over the horizon coming at her. It's from Penina's point of view, and you just see this big mass of something coming, and she's like, "Whoa, what's that?" It's Ed.
Yeah, and then he traps her with the wall, and then he like makes a bunch of like stone hands and like trying to punch her.
Awesome. The animation went nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, as much as I like the witty banter between the two in the anime, I really wanted to slip a manga quote in there because I remember reading this chapter the first time and I busted out laughing. But Ed's talking about Penina and he yells, "I'm gonna kick her butt!" And Al says, "Kick her butt? I mean, if it was a guy, that would be one thing, but you're gonna beat up a girl?" And Ed just whips around and says, "I'm not sexist." Oh, Ed. But anyway, the chase scene continues until Al is able to use his alchemy, finally, to catch Penina in like this giant birdcage like thing. He drew a transmutation circle and Ed chased her over to Al, and Al he doesn't clap his hands, he kind of like puts one on top of the other and presses down, sort of. And the cage forms around her. And I also wanted to mention another manga thing, but the chase scene is way longer when you read it. There are many funny parts. They're kind of going through town, destroying things. Penina is showing how acrobatic she is. Ed gets attacked by a dog, and the action panels are amazing, and I love all the dynamic angles and stuff like that. But obviously, since an episode has to be a certain length, they had to cut some of that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole fight scene also happens in the town, not in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And so they think they've won because Alice caught her, but she gets free. Turns out she has automail legs, and they are equipped with, one has like this like knife, and so she like slashes the bars and gets out, and then she also has a cannon in her other leg, which is just excessive. Crazy. Yeah.
Pretty cool though.
And so seems like she's gonna escape, but then Winry catches her. All she does is like grab her hand, and Penina, like, I don't know, she just like gives up.
Yeah, I think it's because Winry, like physically grabbed her, and she doesn't really want to hurt anybody, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Ed and Al go, "Yeah, good job, Winry, you got her." And Winry's like, "There's no way I'm gonna let you get away. Not until I look at your automail." And another 2003 difference is Penina actually has her automail legs, but she also has an automail arm. So she's missing 3 limbs in that version. I don't know why they added that, but
Yeah, because
but
her legs
canonically,
are like cool
yeah, canonically
on
it's
their own.
just the legs. So, but she is caught and they not force her, but make her agree to take them to Dominic.
And so they arrive at Dominic's and he is checking out Ed's automail and he says that it's too heavy and it could be stunting Ed's growth. And at first Ed's like offended, like, don't call me small. But then he's like, what if I get lighter automail, I might grow. And so there's like this funny little like image of him imagining himself being taller than
You guys sure look small.
yeah. And he's like in a daze. There's like little angels like flying around his head as
So
everybody's
cute.
like talking. Winry is very impressed. Was very impressed with Penina's automail and Dominic's wisdom, and so she wants to be his apprentice, but he won't take her. He's like, I don't take apprentices, which
Yeah.
honestly that part kind of bothers me because like there's like no explanation. You just like, nope, don't take apprentices, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Well, I just kind of took it as he's a very secluded sort of guy. He just lives with his family. He doesn't want to have too much hustle and bustle around him.
Yeah,
It
but
could
it's
be
also
that.
like just one person, and it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's just kind of sour, so
Yeah, but he's not. Like we
he's
see,
really not.
he like gave, like we find out later, he like gave Nina her legs for free, and like
Yeah. He
what
doesn't want to
refuses.
admit that he's a softie.
Yeah, but anyway, well, Ed is imagining Ed is imagining being tall. Um, Dominic then proceeds to call him a little flea in the anime, but in the manga he calls him a bean sprout, which I think is cute.
It is, but
and it just like completely crushes Ed. Like he's
a little flea. He called me a little flea.
yeah, and Al has to drag him away.
He doesn't even get mad about it. He's just like, I
Mm-mm.
can't believe somebody called me that.
Yeah. And then while Al is dragging Ed away, he spots a lady who's pregnant, and it's very sweet because like Al like oh, are you pregnant? And he has to touch her stomach, and he like puts his hand on her stomach, and then the what's the lady's name? I can't remember.
Satara.
Tara, yeah. Then she takes Ed's hand and puts it on her stomach, and it's so sweet. They both just have like this childlike wonder.
Yeah.
They're like so amazed
Well, I
by
forget how young they are sometimes.
yeah, and like there Ed says like, oh, there's a miracle in your stomach, and
So sweet.
It's very sweet.
Yeah,
very
actually, sweet. In the manga, Ed is the one who asks, "Hey, can I touch your tummy?" Which I don't know. That seems a little bit out of character for him, almost.
Yeah,
like Al is
but
usually
then,
the softie.
That's true, but it's I don't know, this whole story, like they both are like in awe.
It could be his curiosity too, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
then,
anyway.
While they're being entertained, Penina and Winry are chatting. When Winry's, I think it was like checking out Penina's automail, and she asks how, she lost her legs, and she tells Winry that she lost her parents in a train accident and also her legs, and that Dominic was the one who rescued her and made her her legs, and she's trying to pay him back, but he like refuses to take any money. And Winry is very she's very wise. She offers some sound advice. She like basically tells Peninia like, you know, you get a second chance at life, and you're a pickpocket, you know. And she tells her to stand up and get to work. And she inspires Peninia to work hard and stop and earn an honest living. Basically.
Yeah. Which Peninia has a really fast turnaround. Like, as soon as Winry says that, she's like, you know what? You're right. Like, it didn't occur to her to get a legit job. But then again, how she grew up, I suppose, after losing her legs, she was on the streets for a little bit, so having an honest job might not have occurred to her, really, in all honesty. But I hope she found something, I guess. I mean, I'm sure somebody would take her on. Rush Valley's it's a busy, bustling city. There's gotta be some shop that needs her help. But yeah, in the manga, when Winry is talking to Peninia, she directly quotes Ed and says, it's like he always says, it has to be an equivalent exchange. So, working to pay back Dominic. Although, my argument is that the equivalent exchange already happened because Peninia lost her legs and Dominic gave her new ones. She had something terrible happen to her and Dominic showed her mercy and grace. I think, you know, showing that kindness to somebody can be equivalent exchange when they've had such terrible sadness in their life.
Yeah, that's a nice thought. I like that.
I'm just good like that.
So then, and so now she's a changed person. So she gives Winry Ed's watch back, and she said, I tried to open it, but you know, it wouldn't open. And so Winry like pulls out her tools and she gets Ed's watch open, which was sealed with alchemy, open in like a second. And inside there's like an inscription that says 3 October, year 11. And that is, I don't think they say what that date is yet. Not until later.
Not quite yet. We get a good sense of it later, but
yeah. But so she sees that, and it's kind of like mellows her out, and then it seems to also maybe inspire her to become a better automail mechanic, because she's like, I'm gonna ask Dominic again. And as Winry's, you know, leaving to go ask again, and Ed like runs up to her, and it's very funny because he's like out of breath, and he's like, the bay, and she's like, what
the horse, the bay,
about a horse. And then he's like, the baby's coming.
When he freaks out.
Yeah, everybody's freaking out. Dominic, he goes for the doctor because it's raining and they're not going to be able to get her to the hospital. And everyone is like totally freaking out that the baby is coming, and it's very entertaining.
Yes. I actually have quite a few notes about this. First off, in the manga, Winry's the one who's like, the baby's coming, or like, you know, she finds Satara, you know, having contractions or whatever. But also I was just really impressed that translating anime from Japanese to English, words don't always mesh very well, and I'm not sure what the original translation was, but I was just impressed that the image of the horse when Ed said bay and Winry's like, a bay, like a horse, I'm just impressed that translated over to English well, that they could use the same imagery for bay, for horse. Anyway, moving past that. So when Dominic goes for the doctor in the manga, he sees that the bridge that connects their plot of land to the next, across the cliffs, is broken, so they can't go to town to get the doctor. Ed and Al try to fix the bridge with alchemy or make a new one, but they can't. A series of events happens to stop them. So Dominic has to go a long way around to the town, and he's afraid he can't get the doctor in time. And Ed mourns the fact that he can't be more useful. And he has a quote that I thought was really great. He said, "What's the use of being a state alchemist or a human weapon if I can't even use my powers when I need them the most?" So he's feeling very helpless at this point.
Mm-hmm. And so everybody is confused and doesn't know what to do. And Winry kind of like, she takes a step back and she's like, we're just gonna have to deliver the baby ourselves. And she starts telling everyone what to do. She tells them to get, I think it's water and rags and alcohol. And she's like going through like a mental checklist in her mind. And while everyone's running around getting the stuff, Ed and Al are talking to Satira's husband, and he's like, can we really trust this girl? Has she ever delivered a baby before? And Ed is very sweet because he's like, well, she grew up reading medical textbooks, so she knows more than probably any of us. And he like just has this faith that Winry can do it. And so they get to work, and of course Ed and Al, they are waiting outside the room. They're not helping with the birth. And they're feeling pretty helpless because all they can do is sit and wait. Their set of skills they can't use in this situation.
Right.
Which I think is kind of a newer experience for them. And then they hear lots of screaming, and Vanina like bursts out of the room and she's like, there's so much blood, and Ed now like rush in like, oh my goodness, what happened? But the baby has been delivered. It's
Whoa.
here, and it's so small and so cute.
Meg's heart explodes every time an anime baby is on screen.
Maybe, yes. Just wait until we get to baby Ed now.
Oh my word.
My heart bursts every time I see them. It's so cute.
Okay, even I was like, oh man.
Yes, but this baby is also very adorable. And Ed is, I would say, is also very adorable in this because he's like, it's awesome. It's just so awesome. It's totally awesome. And
awesome.
Yes, and Winry is like, oh, you're acting like a kid, and he's like, he kind of explains like alchemy's been trying to create human life for years and years and years, and we haven't been able to do it, but a person could just create another person inside of them. And he's like, people are awesome. And I agree with him.
Yeah.
People are awesome.
I have a brief funny story to go along with this. I found it hilarious when Satira was yelling. She's like, I'm dying in here, or whatever she said. But it just like sparked a memory. My mom told me a story once. So she was in the hospital about to give birth to my older brother. And, obviously some jitters because this is her first child. And the doctor comes in and she hears the room next to her, like through the wall, she hears like this woman just screaming in agony. And my mom's just like, oh dear, oh boy, is this what it's going to be like? And she asks the doctor, what's happening over there? And he just goes, oh yeah, that woman's in there having her 6th child. And she's like, 6th? So she's like, if it's still painful like that after 6, then what's gonna be like for me? But then, like the contractions start and she gives birth to my brother and she's just like, that wasn't terrible. So this woman was just like screaming up a storm and my mom's just like, whatever, it's fine. Get the baby out. We're done.
Maybe the other woman had skipped the epidural.
That could be. Au natural.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my little aside.
Yes. So, of course, Winry is exhausted, and she asks Ed to carry her, and so he picks her up and starts to carry her to a chair. And she hits him with, it's so embarrassing to be carried by someone smaller than me, and she's like, and he of course like, I'm gonna drop you.
I like the manga. He says, in the manga, he says, "You are so not cute."
And then Winry admits that she saw what was inside the watch, and then Ed does drop her, and it's like, you idiot. And so he admits to her that no one has seen what is inside the watch, and not even Al. And he says it's a reminder to himself of what's happened, and what his goals are. And Winry starts crying, and we see that she's thinking about when they burned their house down. And I think they don't say it, maybe they do say it, but it's like, it's implied that that's the date that's in the watches, the date that they burned the house. Yeah. And Ed, I don't know, Ed's kind of sweet, because he's like, why are you doing that? Like, don't do that. And Winry's like, well, you two won't cry, so someone should do it for you. And then she tells Ed that she's inspired by him to hone her skills as a mechanic and get better, so she can make him better automail, so he can reach his goals.
Yeah.
And it's just a very sweet moment.
Yeah. And then Panina comes in,
yes.
and Ed smacks her because she took his watch.
Yes, yeah, sweet moment over. He's getting his revenge. That's kind of the end of that scene. And then the doctor finally arrives, and he's very impressed with Winry's work. And then Dominic is like, oh, thank you. How can I ever, repay you? And Ed has a brilliant idea and asks if she can be his apprentice. But he still refuses, which, again, I just am surprised by this, because she was a part of a very intimate moment of his life. And you would think, like, if his reservations was that, like, he's, and he doesn't like outsiders, like, she just...
Yeah, it's gotta be something else. It's gotta be something else.
Well, it is. We see what it is. But they don't explain in the anime. They only tell you in the manga. It's, he knows Tanako, and he is terrified of her. He calls her, what is it?
The Pantheress of
Risenbull. Yes. And I think it seems like it's, maybe there's some romantic history.
I love the panel, though, because a younger, beautiful Panako is pictured, but her eyes are like blacked out, and she's just like laughing evilly.
Yeah, so he's in the manga, like, that's why he refuses, but he's like, I'll introduce you to someone in town. And so she will be staying in Rush Valley to learn more about
constructing automail and engineering, and she's going to be very happy.
Yes. All right, and then in the last scene, Ed and Al are leaving town. They're running for the train, and as they run, we see 3 wanted posters, and very quickly
we only recognize one of them so far.
Only one, because one
unless you've read the manga, then you'll recognize another.
Yes, and well, we already talked about it.
Yeah, so we can mention it.
Yeah. So one is Scar. The other one is
Lieutenant Yoki from the mining town that Ed and Al saved in the manga. And the third one, we don't know yet.
Yes, but we will.
But yes. Anyway, them running to the train, is one of my favorite scenes in this episode because, um, well, they run on the train. Al gets on first, and Ed is sprinting behind it, and he's kind of he's like reaching the end of the train platform, but he doesn't care. He just leaps right off the edge, sails through the air, and Al just grabs him and puts him on the back of the train and like hauls him up. And I love the animation, and it looks like they've done this a million times before. It's amazing.
Yes, I also enjoy this scene. It's very, I don't know. It's exciting. They're off on an adventure,
Yes.
and Winry is settled. She and Panina are saying goodbye to Ed and Al, and they're both like encouraging each other. Ed tells her to learn all she can and to call Panako, which is kind of
Hypocrite.
ironic because he never calls Panako. But
Yeah, and
I don't know.
that's the episode.
Yes.
All right, and now that the episode is done, we can get on with our ending notes. First up, voice actors. So Panina, played by Cynthia Krantz, who is Mitsuru from Fruits Basket, a really funny character. Alumi from Dr. Stone, and Lisa from Soul Eater. And Dominic, his last name is LeCoultre. He's played by Greg Dulci, who is additional voices in Attack on Titan, probably characters who have died. Montferrat from The Heroic Legend of Arslan, and Captain Smoker from One Piece. So, Panina's name, I don't know if this is credible. I tried Googling it, and what came up was it means destiny or luck. And then Dominic's name is of Latin origin, and it means of the Lord.
Thumbs up from me.
Yeah. And we did have one of the things we hope to track are the Ed short rants. And it's not really a rant, but his little dismayed flea. He called me a little flea. It's just too cute to not include.
Yes.
Yeah. Animation expertise. The animation for the alchemy is really coordinated in this episode. There's lots of action. It's choreographed. It's so super fast. But I did have to wonder why this episode, like why did the animators just want to show off in this episode?
Because they wanted to distract you from what happened in the last episode.
But yeah, actually from this point forward, I'm thinking of a specific episode that we'll get to pretty soon where the animation kind of goes nuts again. So I feel like they just pull out all the stops and every so often just so you don't forget that Ed is awesome with alchemy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Last thing, story elements analysis. So allies are very important in storytelling. You meet new people on journeys that you take. It opens the Elrics up to learning new things. It means they can make new friends who will either support them in emotional, mental ways, or who will provide backup later on, or who are just there to teach them an important lesson.
Yes. So we're almost done, but I did actually have one last thing. So in this episode, we see Winry just like go completely insane for automail, and it's very awesome. And I had a question. Megan, is there anything that you like just go absolutely crazy for, like Winry? Like it like gets you like so excited you just like lose your mind.
Oh boy. Well, I too actually like automail and cybernetics in real life, so I'm just fascinated by it. So if somebody walked up to me and had a cybernetic arm, I'd probably be like staring them down and really wanting to ask them, how does that work? Guess books, like going in a bookstore, I get pretty excited. What about you?
Okay, even though I wanted to ask this question, I didn't think of an answer to it.
Oh.
There are a couple things that get me very, very hype.
Dr. Stone.
Yes. Dr. Stone, I get very excited about. But music sometimes, like when there's like a really good song, like I will go a little crazy. And also it's not really like a specific thing, but in a story when you're like nearing the end and like all the characters like come together for like the final battle, like that gets me so excited and I go a little insane. No. But also similar things. Books. Love books.
When I
And
see a really cute animal, like a kitten, I get really excited.
yeah, I guess I guess when I see a very cute baby, mostly anime babies. I don't know why, but they just like
It's the eyes.
yeah,
Huge eyes.
They just like want to give them a big hug and squish them.
Cute.
Yeah, I will maybe we'll post that question on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you guys can answer it also. But yeah, that's the end of the episode, and now we can get into our little outro things that we like to do. So first, Megan, what was your favorite line of the episode?
All right, mine came from Ed. Now, when it really counts, I can't do anything. I know we're not big believers in God, but maybe he could help us this once. It's very sweet of him to be so humble to say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, well, we won't get into religion here, but it meant a lot to me, at least, and I know a lot to you. But
yes.
what was your favorite line?
Mine is also from Ed, and it's when he is showing his support for Winry when she's helping Satara give birth. He says, "Right now, the only choice we have is to defer to her knowledge and the sheer force of her nerve."
Nice.
And I love that one because he is very supportive.
He believes in her no matter
what. He believes in her.
Yeah.
And I like that. All right.
All right. What was the moral of this episode? Or the theme?
Yes. So I think, we think that it was stand up and get to work, which came from Winry. And it's just a good lesson that using someone else's act of goodwill to inspire you to live a respectable life and to help others.
Yes. And who pushed the story forward?
Paninia and Winry.
Yeah.
Paninia kind of started them off on their journey by stealing Ed's watch, and she was also the one who introduced them to Dominic, and they gained a friend through her. And then also Winry again, because she's awesome. She got everybody moving when everybody else was like terrified and didn't know what to do. And she was very brave. And also the chat between her and Ed was great. Very important. And I think it helped both of them. Yeah, but overall this is, I don't know, even though it's Megan said and I agree, it's like kind of a filler episode. Like important things did happen, and it does add to the story, and it's kind of it's
quite a bit.
Also, it's a nice break from the last episode was really sad, and it's just nice to be like, oh no, it's happy things can happen. And I think also it's kind of the two episodes contrast each other, because in the last episode somebody died, and in this one somebody was born, And
equivalent exchange, although I would never claim, somebody to be worth somebody else.
No,
I mean,
no.
people are all priceless.
Yeah, it's just, and it's also kind of a reminder that, like, even though terrible things happen, like, life is still happening.
It's the
around
circle of life.
I know. Okay, actually, I wanted to start singing that, but I wasn't gonna do it.
I'll do it for you. That's what I'm here for.
That's the end of the episode. And if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at fullmetalbeyondthegate@gmail.com, or also DM us on Instagram at fullmetalbeyondthegate. And if you follow us, you can see all of the memes and fun stuff that we post. Megan just made a little cartoon for Halloween a few weeks ago, and it's great. It's like it's what we think a Halloween with Ed and Al and Winry when they were younger would look like. So check that out.
And if anyone has any prompts for me, I love doing like alternate universe type things, or what ifs, or just drawing characters in different situations. So keep them coming if you got any.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you guys. All right, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.